All right, here we got my man Keith D. I like Keith D videos. He's talking about what they're not telling you about crypto, and I'm gonna say, let me hear it, my boy.
We need to have a real conversation for a second, because although I do truly believe that what's happening with distributed ledger technology, blockchain, and crypto will be by far the best way to build wealth in the next 20 to 30 years,
Yep.
I also understand that a lot of what's happening right now is a lot deeper than what we're seeing on the surface.
Okay, speak to me.
So let's talk about what other people won't tell you and what you can do about these changes that are coming to the monetary system. First, let's talk about gold for a second, because I have a lot of people coming in talking about how gold is the only answer.
Keep trying to tell you
It's
gold.
the only way to maintain your privacy and protect your wealth in the coming times. And I love gold, but let's look at the history, because in the United States in 1933, FDR signed an executive order. This executive order forced Americans to turn their gold into the Federal Reserve. Not only did he sign that order and was that act all carried out, but that was also upheld by the Supreme Court. So right now in the United States, there is legal precedent that says that that can happen again. So although gold is great, some people call it God's money, it is not immune to all of the changes that are coming. Gold isn't perfect, but nor is cash, nor is stocks, and nor is Bitcoin. Let's clear something up about Bitcoin, because a lot of people who are new think that Bitcoin is anonymous.
Okay.
Bitcoin was never anonymous.
That's
It's pseudonymous. So yeah, your name is not on your wallet address, but that doesn't mean that your identity in real life cannot be attached to what happens with that wallet.
That's true. So when you buy Bitcoin, when you buy crypto, you need to connect it to an exchange. When you sign up for an exchange, first thing they want to know is social security, license, photos, all that. They know who you are.
Over the past decade, the US government, through the Department of Justice and the FBI, have been able to trace, find, and seize billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. That strategic Bitcoin reserve that Trump announced that he was going to create this year, that's all supposed to be made up of the seized Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin is not just some anonymous, untouchable privacy network. And if you wanted privacy, then you would have to start well before you got to the blockchain. The internet works in layers.
Let's see what we got here. We got the physical layer, the network access layer with the data link layer all connected. The network layer with the internet layer that's connected. I don't know what OSI stands for, but I guess we're going to find out. Now, TCP IP, this is how your internet works, right? So I can tell you that. These are the layers for your internet.
The bottom layer is what's called the physical link layer.
Oh, look, he's about to explain it.
And this is managed by what are called ISPs, or internet service providers. Think about AT&T or Verizon, the cables, and the cell towers. These companies are required by law to log customer information, and if they are these companies, AT&T or this is managed by what are called ISPs, or internet service providers. Think about AT&T or Verizon, the cables, and the cell towers. These companies are required by law to log customer information, and if they are subpoenaed for that information, they must give it up.
Yep.
That's in the United States, and it's in many other countries as well. Some people are going to say, oh, well, I can just use a VPN, right? No. VPNs are also required by law to log customer information, and if they are subpoenaed, they must give it up. Oh, but I use Tor, though, so I'm good, right? It doesn't necessarily work like that. Also, Tor, for your information,
lack of security internet and its ability to be used for tracking surveillance was becoming clear. In 1997, David Gauss, Mike Reed, and Paul at the U.S. Naval Research Lab asked themselves if there was a way to create internet connections that don't reveal who's talking to whom, even if someone monitoring it. The answer was to create... Whoa! I did not know this was created by the U.S. Naval Research Lab. Wow. So the government created Tor, and everybody's doing bad stuff on the dark web with Tor. Like, you know, like Silk Road and I don't even know the other ones. Those type of markets. They have to use Tor to get onto those platforms, right? and it was created by the government. That is so mind-blowing to me.
It was created by the U.S. Naval Research Lab. And it has been speculated that the exit nodes on the Tor network have been compromised by U.S. intelligence agencies. So the U.S. government doesn't have to hack a blockchain in order to trace all of your transactions and also potentially to have access to your actual funds. So no, this isn't just about pure freedom and anarchy. No, we're just moving into a new system. And in reality, this new system has an immutable record. And that's just talking about the privacy and accessing these blockchain networks. But we haven't even started talking about actually using the value that's on these networks, right? Because let's be honest for a second. Are you using Bitcoin as peer-to-peer cash? Look me in my eye and tell me that you're using Bitcoin as peer-to-peer cash.
I would love to someday.
No, you're not. You're using it as a speculative investment.
Yep.
And because of that, it matters, right? How you can get access to that value. Because if you've been paying attention over the past few years, right, the ways to get money in and out of these systems has been getting regulated.
Yep.
All those offshore exchanges, they're gone. Local Bitcoins, gone.
Yep. It's very hard to
so
just
if you want
get
to
it.
use your credit card or connect your bank account in order to buy crypto, you're probably going to have to verify your identity.
Give up that
and a
ID.
lot of these platforms, they'll let you put money on them, but they won't let you take it off until you verify your identity. And then we have stable coins, right? Bringing in that digital money right into the banking system. That programmable money is now being plugged right into the system. The government already had the right to seize and freeze your assets. But now there's going to be a way to do that programmatically. Okay, that's accessing these networks and the value on them. But now let's talk about this idea of Bitcoin being this way to democratize finance for everyone and give everyone a fair shot at building wealth in this new world. Let's talk about the real numbers here. The National Bureau of Economic Research released a working paper at the end of 2020. And in this, they delineated the difference between exchange wallets and individual wallets. And this matters because a lot of people, if you put your assets on Coinbase, right, they aggregate all of that within one wallet. So all these different people are under one wallet address. So when you're trying to measure who holds the most crypto, you have to take into account that there are these exchange wallets. But in this research, they did that. And they found that 10,000 of the largest holders of Bitcoin own 28% of all the Bitcoin. And then you have to keep in mind that only 1.3% of people own any Bitcoin at that time. So that doesn't create a scenario where you have given everyone a fair shot or rebalanced the wealth inequality in the world in any kind of a way.
Yeah.
In fact, what you've done is you've made it way worse. Because if Bitcoin is the answer, right, and let's say it goes up to 10 million, well, now you have 10,000 people that own 28% of all of that global wealth. At least today, 1% own, 50%. But that 1% is 50 million people.
Yeah.
So as it stands,
I see
the
what you're
higher
saying there.
that
I
the
see
price
what
of
you're
Bitcoin
saying
goes,
there.
the worse that wealth inequality in the world will get.
Listen, guys. I see what he's saying, and this is my solution. Let them buy the Bitcoin, and all the people get Ethereum. You know why? Because all these apps are being used on Ethereum. They're being built on Ethereum and Solana. Websites can be built on Ethereum. You know what I'm saying? If you could have an Ethereum address, right? Like, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about an actual Web3 address, a website, built on Ethereum chain, right? When you have applications like that happening, it's more than just a store of wealth. So let them buy the Bitcoin, and the people buy Ethereum.
And let's step back for a second, because also Bitcoin did not just come out of nowhere. It was released right in the middle of the financial crisis, which means that it had to have been worked on well before then, because this is not some pet project. This was very well thought out.
It was.
And to this day, we just have no idea who created it, right? Some random person, individual that goes by Satoshi Nakamoto. Who benefits from a fully traceable immutable record of digital transactions?
The government.
I'm not pushing theories. I'm just posing some questions. Because the thing is understanding these questions is going to give us a better idea of how to think about what's happening and what to do. Let's zoom out even further, because the internet itself.
Here's all I'm going to say. Monero, Monero, Monero. Look it up. Get an understanding of how Monero differs from Bitcoin, and your eyes will be opened.
Was born out of the Cold War in a U.S. military project called ARPANET. The idea was to design a communications network that could survive a nuclear attack. I'm just saying, what if Bitcoin followed that same blueprint? Instead of just for information, also for money. Okay, so we don't know who made it, and we don't necessarily know exactly what their incentives were. But let's imagine that they at least wanted people to adopt it. They wanted people to use the network. Okay, so in that case, if I know that people probably wouldn't necessarily be super gung-ho about the idea of a database with an immutable record of all global transactions, then I might say, all right, how could I paint this as a revolution? And inherently, the network already incentivizes your participation, right? Because the earlier you participate, the richer you're going to get. So while people are participating, getting rich, you're like, oh, I need to pay attention to what's going on here. I probably need to get in. Regardless, while everybody's sitting back arguing about this coin versus that coin or gold and silver versus crypto, in the back end, the infrastructure is being built out. The World Economic Forum have been creating and working on digital identity for years now. The Bank for International Settlements has been running pilots for central bank digital currencies with dozens of central banks around the world for years now.
Yep.
And then you have the European Central Bank, who this year is about to make their decision in October of whether or not they're going to move forward with releasing the digital euro.
Yep.
So this tech has been built out, right? The infrastructure is there. The pilots have been done. And right now, the laws are being passed. There's going to be a lot of good that's going to come from this. There are a lot of people who are going to get in a better nominal position because of what's happening. But I can admit, some of this is not going to be perfect.
It won't. He's not
on
lying.
this channel, right, I'm focused on the technology and the changes that this is going to bring. And you don't have to believe in what's happening, because this has been going on for over a decade. So all of the people who got in the beginning, they're billionaires today.
They
And
are.
the people who got in a little bit after that, they're millionaires today. And as time goes on, that window continues to close. So what you do might matter a lot more than what you believe.
Yep.
Because if this is the way, then it's creating an asymmetric opportunity where if you participate, you might be able to create financial freedom. Whereas if you don't, and you have zero exposure, you might be guaranteeing that you're left playing a game where the rules have already changed. And if you're sitting back and you're asking what this has to do with macroeconomics, this is the biggest shift in monetary history. And you'll notice that I'm not talking about the markets, and I'm not talking about the numbers go up and down. And the reason for that is because as of now, up to date, these markets have moved in cycles.
Yep.
Right? There's these 4-year cycles. And right now is when everybody wants to know what this is about. All of this information has been in the public for years and years, and everybody's coming in when the prices go up.
Yep.
And unfortunately, when that happens, people get sucked into this market, right as things get ready to turn back around.
And it's going to come back down.
And I'm not here to give financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just trying to get you to pay attention to what's happening. So that's why I'm not talking about all of that on the public-facing channel. What I am going to do is I'm going to continue to focus on the technological shifts, the broader economic implications that this has, and what this means for us as individuals. If you're new here, like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. If you've been around and you don't want to navigate this alone, I just opened up my Patreon. And in there, I'm going to be giving my live updates and analysis.
That was a good video, my man Keith. That was a good video. If you're not in crypto, get in crypto. I've been trying to tell all my friends, crypto is the way to go. They ask what to get. I'm going to tell you right now, Ethereum, XRP, Monero, And if you really want Bitcoin gonna keep going, but XRP, Monero, Ethereum, Google Monero. Google what the difference is between Monero and Bitcoin. It's gonna expose your eyes, and you're gonna be like, okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Till next time, peace.